guys, welcome to this week's Friday Waffle. Yep, I've not even bothered to get changed because I'm actually going out to the cinema tonight. First time in about 6 months, and you know what? I haven't even a clue what I'm going to see. My mate messaged me a couple of weeks ago, says, "You fancy going to the pictures to see blah?" And I'm like, yeah, never heard of the film, that's fine. So I'm going to the pictures tonight, no idea what the film's going to be, but you know what? It'd be nice just to actually get out. So anyway, how the hell are you? Hope you're all doing good. It's Thursday night. By the time you watch this, it will be Friday, or it might be later, depending on when you're actually watching it. So yeah, listen. Before I start, thank you very, very much to all those who have contributed in the Discord channel to my Friday Waffle topic, archive, whatever you want, not archive, storage facility. Yeah, I've been doing waffles now for, let me think, 6 years. 6 years, yeah, that's a lot of waffles. And as much as, you know, you would say, well, there's always something to talk about. There always is something to talk about in this hobby. When you've been talking for 6 years, now bearing in mind I generally put out a Friday Waffle every Friday, funnily enough, or Saturdays sometimes, or even Thursdays. Yeah, that's a lot of waffles. I don't know, what's 6 times 52, 300. I've done, I'm sure, in fact, let me have a little look and I'll tell you exactly how many waffles I've done. Just bear with me. Excuse me. Right, what I need to do is I need to go into here, go to playlists, and I need to go to Friday Waffles. Where is it? Right, I have done 282 Friday Waffles. That's a lot of waffling. And so I think I don't think there's any surprise when I say it's getting tougher to talk about stuff now. Here's a thing that you need to understand about me. As much as I love video games, including modern stuff, I don't really watch, I don't keep up to date with what's going on in the industry. So the stuff that I generally like to talk about is, I'm just going to shut the blinds, is stuff, you know, I like to talk about the old days, you know, reminisce about 8-bit machines, 16-bit machines, the first video game that I played. So when you've been doing this for, you know, 6 years, whatever it is, you're going to start to kind of run out of topics. Now I think if I had more time in my hands, it would maybe be easier. I would be able to come up with things, think of stuff to talk about. Now, what I could technically do is dig into the archive of my 281 waffles and just have a look at some stuff from 4 or 5 years ago and talk about that, because at the end of the day, because my my channel is predominantly stuff in the past, then it's still kind of relevant. But last week I started recording the waffle. Well, it was on Thursday, last Thursday. I started recording it, and you know that way, I was conscious that I was struggling to come up with stuff to talk about, and then I just excuse me, I hit a brick wall, and I just dried up, and I thought, this isn't happening. It's absolutely not happening. So I messaged Panther and Mr. Lacosa, and fortunately they were willing to jump in and help me out. So big kudos to them for helping me out. It is infinitely easier making these when you've got somebody to talk to, because you've got somebody to bounce off. But when you're just talking in front of a camera, it can be difficult if you've not got a lot of stuff to talk about. So here we are. Yeah, like I said, it's Thursday. I've had a really busy week at work, but I'm really enjoying it. It's been a breath of fresh air, and as much as I've got quite a bit of travelling, I mean, I do 80 miles a day, which is quite a lot when you consider previously to that, my travelling was going down from my bedroom to the kitchen. So doing 400 miles a week, it seems like a lot, and I suppose it is. It is quite a lot of miles, but I've already got used to it, and I mean, it takes me what, 40 minutes to get to work in the morning. 40 minutes getting back. And I mean, for example, tonight I was just listening to some music, and it's a nice time to you can unwind, and I use that time when I'm going home just to kind of chill out and forget work, and then start to kind of think about what I'm going to do tonight. So it's good, really enjoying it. Like I said, it's been an uphill challenge. My boss has said, you were literally thrown at the deep end, and I know she's told me that she's really happy with. She's getting good feedback about me, which is always really nice to hear. So no, really, really, really good. Now, one of the things that I was doing today is, like a lot of companies, you have online training. You've got all these courses that you've got to do online. You get so many a month to do, and one of them was a GDPR, and it's basically all about protecting people's data. And it got me thinking. I mean, I've had an online presence since 1997, and when I think of all the forums that I've joined, all the websites I've joined, all the numerous emails that I've sent to companies, and whatever it is, it's absolutely terrifying when you think just how much data is actually held about me online. And the fact that I've got a Facebook page, the fact that I'm making videos that anybody can watch, it's quite terrifying. And one part of this GDPR is basically every individual is entitled to decide whether they want information removed about them. But you know what? If I decided one day, right, you know what, I'm going to sell my house, I'm going to go and live in the back of beyond, I want to come off the internet completely, and I want all my information removed about me. How possible would that actually be? I mean, I wouldn't even know how to go about doing that. Would you have to? Could you employ a company who will undertake that on your behalf? I don't know. I really, really don't know. And it's frightening, I mean, and it's over the years I've been probably quite naive when it's come to like sharing information about myself. You sign up to a forum or whatever it is. You buy something online, and they want your details, they want your date of birth and all this. And this is one thing that's really it pisses me off. You go to Argos and you buy an electric kettle, and they'll ask you, can we email you your receipt? Now, call me suspicious, but I'm not convinced that they're doing that just because it's easier to save paper. Why would they want to email me a receipt? It's probably easier for them just to print it. And it's the same with I had a problem with one of my radiators in my house last week, and I've got one of these service contracts. I contacted them, and I told them, look, my radiator's not working. In fact, I'll tell a lie. I went online and I basically logged the job, arranged for an engineer to come out. Then they phoned me the next day and they said, yeah, Mr. Stewart, you've been in touch with us, you're wanting an engineer to come out. Before we go any further, for confidential reasons, can you give us your name, your date of birth, the first line of your address, your postcode? So I gave them that, and then I had to they then transferred me to someone else, and they asked me the same data. And I'm thinking to myself, I am paying for a company to fix my heating. What has my postcodes, what has my date of birth got to do with fixing my electric, fixing my boiler? None at all. Absolutely none at all. Now, I'm not saying for 1 second that these companies are going to then use that information and sell it to somebody else, but you know, I do get the feeling that it's almost impossible for you to completely erase all information about you. I mean, what you should do is you just try it one day. Go into Google, type in your name, and you will be very, very surprised at just how much stuff actually comes up. I've done that a few times, and you find pictures of yourself that you can't even, well, I wouldn't say you can't remember taking, but I found pictures of me, I thought, I've not seen that picture for years. How on earth did that get online? Obviously, for somebody like myself who makes video content and it's available for anybody, you type in MainMeister and it just, in fact, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to Google. Let me just www.google.com. There we go. Right, I'm going to type in MainMeister. Now, obviously, a lot of these, probably the majority of these, is going to be linked to my YouTube channel. Oh, excuse me, I've just had a roll. Excuse me. I've just typed in MainMeister into Google, and it's coming up. There's about 15,500 results. YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Retro and Lim, MainMeister's YouTube stats, active listings from MainMeister. Absolutely crazy. MainMeister v YouTube. No idea what that is. Mohammed Ikram Razi official MainMeister. I've got no idea. That is just absolutely mental. But yeah, it's actually really scary when you actually think about just how much information must be stored about you. I think it would be next to impossible, and yeah, I don't know. What's your thoughts on it, guys? Does you know, confidentiality, does the fact that you've got so much information about you online, does that bother you? I do understand that's why a lot of people don't choose Facebook, you know, because obviously Facebook, again, there's stuff out there, and I know from first hand that sometimes having that kind of stuff online can be used against you, so you've got to be very, very careful. But yeah, it just doing that training course, normally these training courses you're like, yeah, it's boring as hell, but it just kind of got me thinking about the amount of information and data that's actually held about you. You know, absolutely terrifying. Gaming wise, what have I been doing? I've been playing, what's it called, the Amberneck RG350. It's a console that, it was Steve Benway made a video about it, well, maybe 6 months ago. I bought one, I think it was about 60-70 quid, maybe slightly more than that. And it's to put content on it, it's not that straightforward. Well, at least I didn't think it was. So it's basically sat on a shelf for about, I don't know, 3-4 months. And then this week I decided, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to dig it out and have a look. So I've now managed to get quite a lot of emulators put on it. You've got to use like it's an FTP program to do. It's a bit of a kind of palaver, but once you kind of suss it, it's pretty easy to do. So kind of gaming wise, I've been putting a lot of information. Listen to me. I've been putting a lot of games in it. I've got C64. I've got all the kind of consoles. So I've been playing that at night time. Go to my bed. In fact, last night, what was I playing? I was playing Tales of the Arabian Nights, no less. And I didn't manage to get off the first level. So that's kind of been about as far as my gaming has gone. I was messing about with my coin ops and trying to see if I can somehow record games either using this, which is OBS, or you know, I've got the graphics card that I've got, it uses is the GeForce Experience. you can basically record footage of whatever you're playing. There is an option to stream directly to YouTube, but for the life of me, I could not get it working. Now, that would be a massive help if anybody that's watching this video knows how to use GeForce to stream live, or if somebody can come up with a good way. Would I need a capture card or something? I'm completely and utterly clueless when it comes to these kind of things. If I thought that I could, using using a capture card, for not a lot of money, if I could do that and use that to stream, let me know, because it would be nice. I've got a lot of games in that thing, games that I don't have access to any other way, and it'd be really, really nice to to kind of show it. Like I says, I'm very much an 8-bit, 16-bit person. That's kind of my history. That's what I enjoy talking about. But there's so many more games. There's all the 16-bit consoles. There's stuff like the 3DO. There's the Atari Jaguar. So I would love to kind of feature some of these as well. I can feature them using original hardware, but using original hardware is a pain in the arse, because obviously you've got to download the video, and it takes a lot more faffing about than if you can just kind of stream it live. So if anybody knows the best way for me to do a stream using something like CoinOps, please let me know. Before I forget, thanks, like I mentioned earlier on about running out of topics. So I posted, I started a channel. Is that a channel? I don't know what you call it. In my the Main Meister Discord channel, and it's topics for the Friday Waffle. And quite a few people have already given me some topics. I cannot thank you enough for that, because trust me, as I says, when you've been making waffles for as long as I have, it's very, very easy to start running dry. And as I've said, it doesn't have to be a specific question, just a topic. Piracy, Commodore 64, Dragon 32, anything at all. Where did you buy your games? What computers did your mates own? Anything at all, any topic at all, preferably relating to retro gaming. Post it, because trust me, I cannot thank you enough for that. It's going to be really invaluable if I want to keep this Friday Waffle going. And I'll be honest, I would be saddened to not keep it going, because I do know that it's the one thing that I'm quite famous for. Famous, that's the wrong word to use. Infamous probably, but it's the one video that I make that people know me for. And I think generally people do quite enjoy the Friday Waffle. It was Steve Benway that he used to do his Friday Talkie, and I really looked forward to a Friday, and the Friday Talkie became, the Friday Talkie became synonymous with Friday. Always looked forward to a Friday because it's the weekend coming round, and the fact that Steve was going to be the Friday Talkie. And I think in some smaller way, I think some people view the Friday Waffle in the same way. It's something that generally happens every Friday, and people look forward to it. So I would really like to not have to knock the Friday Waffle on the head. But if I got to a point where I've simply got nothing to talk about, then I would have no other option other than to kind of say, right, you know what, it's ran its course. And that's what happened to Steve Benway with the Friday Talkie. He was making it for such a long time, and then he just decided, he thought, you know what, I've got nothing else to talk about, and he knocked it in the head. So yeah, please keep the topics coming, and also please put the comments in the Friday Waffle. I've had a look. There are a few. So listen, what I'm going to do is, because I'm going to pictures tonight, I've got about another 10-15 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to batter straight on with the questions. So anyway, let's have a wee look. Delboy 3K1, damn, I had so much input for this waffle, I was screaming at the screen. We'll watch again and comment. Great chat as always. Thank you very much, Del. Ian Hunter, well done and a really good waffle, Alan. For a moment I thought I tuned in to the Tourette's AGM. Yeah, nice to hear from you, Ian. I've not seen you on the live streams for a wee bit. I hope you're staying safe, buddy. And Mr. Down the Rabbit Hole returns, thank goodness. Hi Kevin, for the Friday Waffle, I'm not sure if I've asked this before, Alan, but are you much of a fan of light gun games, and do you presently have any way of playing them? I wouldn't say I'm a huge fan of them, Kevin, but I do like them. I mean, many years ago, when I first got my my PlayStation 2 and also, what was it, the Dreamcast, I had it connected to it was a 32-inch TV. That was my kind of TV. That was before LCDs came out. And I used to have a lot of I used to have a lot of light gun games for it. And fantastic, great fun. Virtua Cop, is it Confidential Mission, House of the Dead, cracking games. But as we all know, you can't play a light gun game on using an LCD or plasma. It's to do with the cathode ray or something, whatever it is. The beam moves up and down and whatever, I don't know exactly, but it requires a beam of a CRT, and modern TVs simply don't support that. So light gun games were knocked on the head, but the Nintendo Wii, as we know, it doesn't use, I don't know what it is, I don't know the technology that the Nintendo Wii uses, but it's motion control, and there are some fantastic light gun games for it. I'm positive I've got House of the Dead 2 and House of the Dead 3 on the Nintendo Wii. There's also there's a couple of what do you call them, Resident Evil light gun, but it's not light gun games. It uses the motion control, which, to be fair, is pretty much the same. It kind of feels, it feels just the same. There's also House of the Dead. It's a new. Well, I say it's a new one. It's been out probably 10 years. There was another House of the Dead game came out, and it's fantastic. It is just violence overload. But it's it's a cracking game. Again, it's by Sega. So there's quite a few of these games have come out. But saying that, I've got my my Sony. What is that? A 32-inch? No, that's not 30. I think that's a 28-inch. I've got my Sony CRT, so I could technically connect up the Dreamcast because I do have a Dreamcast light gun. Don't have one for the PS2, so yeah, I could technically use that. But what I can do is, and again, that CoinOps next thing that I've got, it's got a lot of the light gun games, and you can use the mouse for them. And whilst the mouse isn't as good fun as a proper light gun, it does still kind of give the experience of it. So I'm a massive fan of light gun games, Kev. I think I started off answering this saying I'm not a massive fan. I do enjoy them. So yeah, to answer your question, are you much of a fan of light gun games? Absolutely. Do I presently have any way of playing them? Well, I can play them using the mouse through like MAME, whatever. Obviously I've got the Nintendo Wii as well, but to actually play them properly, to use the Dreamcast light gun game, I have got a way of playing them. I've just not got the Dreamcast connected up to the CRT, but I really need to think about moving it. I've got a Neo Geo sitting under the TV there, which I never ever use, so what I might actually do is move the Dreamcast across and plug that in. I don't know, but anyway. Secondly, have you seen the show High Score on Netflix? I think it would be right up your alley. I have, Kev. Yep, I've watched. I would say probably 3/4 of it. It does start at the very beginning. They're speaking to the guy who created the Space Invaders. They're also talking to, I can never remember the guy's name, the guy that did Pac-Man as well. It does look quite interesting. It's very much an American perspective. But it does look good. Like I said, I think I've had 2 attempts at watching it, and I'm about halfway through. But the problem with me is I get very, very easily distracted. So I'll watch something and I'll think, right, I'm going to put it off and I'm going to watch something else, or I'm going to go out and play a video game, or I'm going to go out and make a video, whatever. But yeah, it does look good, Kev. I think there's 6 episodes in total, and it's on Netflix, in case anyone's wondering. And finally, one of the companies making those little mini arcade cabinets is going to release Polybius, which I find hilarious, although I think it will only be a charger for other cabinets. I don't think it's playable. Is there a... Sorry, is there... Ugh, I can't even read properly. If there is actually a game in that little cabinet, what would you imagine the game would be? You know what, Kev? I've got absolutely no idea about Polybius other than I know it was one of these games that was apparently kind of written but never released. The only game I can really relate to it would be Jeff Minter's Polybius. I don't know what it's about. Is it going to be some kind of shoot 'em up? I've no idea. Just talking about these little mini arcade cabinets. Is it one up or something they're called? I know you got a Space Invaders one, Kev. I did watch your video. Looks really nice. Something niggles me that I was made aware that they were going to bring out Track and Field as a one-up cabinet, and I am 99.99% sure, or to flip it on its flip side, I am 0.0001% unsure that I paid a deposit towards this Track and Field. And you know what? For the life of me, I can find nothing at all, either in my emails or PayPal. I can't find any evidence that I've actually paid £20. But I am honestly, I'm 100% sure that I paid £20 towards it. But I can't even find any evidence of them releasing this thing. And I'm starting to think, wait a minute, have I paid £20 to something and I'm never going to get back? If anybody's aware of the Track and Field one, please let me know, specifically with a link if possible, because I want to double check to see if I have paid a deposit. It does look nice, like I says, Kev. I did look at your Space Invaders one. It's nice. The only thing that I think they're gimmicks. Let's be honest with you. I mean, they're not the size. They're too small. They're a nice novelty. They're a novelty item more than anything. You know, I don't think I would want to sit and play Space Invaders on something that small. You know, I don't even know how much they cost. I'm sure this Track and Field one was about £100. So that's a lot of money for something that's going to sit on a shelf, probably not even get used. I don't know, but yeah, if anyone knows anything about the Track and Field one, please let me know. Panther UK cracking waffle, 66.666%, even more cracking than usual. I can't think why. For the next one, have you ever completed an arcade game on one credit in an arcade scenario? Back in the late 80s, I completed Gryzor after a fair bit of practice. And although, hang on a wee second, and although not the hardest of games, I was and still am proud of the achievement. Cheers, mate. Always a pleasure to join in the channel. Well, you know you're always welcome, Chris. It's always nice to have you guys on it. Hang on a second, it's getting a bit dark. Have I ever completed an arcade game on a one credit? 1,000,000% never. The reason being, and I've mentioned this 1,000 times, living where I lived, I didn't have arcades nearby. There was an arcade in Bathgate, which I used to go to. I used to go to college in Bathgate. Used to go once a week. And then for lunchtime, we would go down, we'd get chips, whatever, we'd go to the arcade. So I would have half an hour a week in the arcade. We would occasionally go into Edinburgh, you know, and play. There was a big arcade in Lothian Road in Edinburgh. We'd occasionally play that. But unlike most people, you know, we really had where we stayed, we had no arcades about. I would absolutely love to have had an arcade on my doorstep. And if I did, then I think I would probably have, I'm not saying I was going to complete any arcade games, but I'd certainly be better, I think. And because I didn't have any arcades, you know, the only time I got to play an arcade game, like I says, was on the occasional off chance we'd play it, you know, go to college. Or if you went to a pub, whatever, you'd maybe have a game of Space Invaders, whatever was in there. But as far as visiting arcades, that happened very, very rarely. There used to be a sort of, not a club, there was this annual event in Livingston, and what we used to do was a bus took you down to Blackpool. So me and my mate, and I think his mum used to go as well, we would go down to Blackpool and we'd hit the arcades. but that was the only time, like one day a year, that was the only time I got to really get into arcades. And that's why something like MAME is just the most extraordinary bit of software for me, because here was a piece of software that allowed me to play the proper arcade games. You know, up until that happened, the majority of arcade games, your Arkanoids, your Terra Cresta, your Tempest, your Rolling Thunder, whatever, it was all Kung Fu. It was all just home versions that you played. And then suddenly this thing came along called MAME, and it allowed me to play the actual arcade game. That was just mind-blowing, and even now I still think it's incredible, and that's why I've always said MAME is the best bit of software of all time. Absolutely stupendous. So to answer your question there, Panther, no. Am I competent enough to complete an arcade game in one credit? Not at all. I mean, the game that I'm probably best at, and I'm maybe slightly better than average, is track and field, but until I can master getting better speed, I think with a joystick I can probably get through the rounds 3 times, and then after that it just gets a bit too difficult. But no, I mean, there's no game. I'm not bad at Berserk. I've not played it for a while, I have to say, but you know, there is no other game that I would say I'm particularly good at. So to answer your question, have I ever completed it? Unfortunately, no. Daleboy 3K1, wow, I had so much to say while watching the video and highly enjoyed it. Listen, Dale, I will be in touch with you over the weekend, and we will come up with I'll get you on a Me and My Son Chums Talk Pish. I'll do that. We'll catch up over the weekend, probably Sunday, because I go to my girlfriend's on a Friday, Saturday, so that's why I'm like off the radar. I completely offline for the 2 days, and then obviously Sunday I have my live stream thing. But I'll get in touch with you on Sunday, Dale, and we'll come up with something for next week. But you like questions for your waffle, so here is one. With some games never making it to every 8-bit system at the time, what game would you like to have seen that was the Spectrum only at the time, now converted to the Commodore 64 and vice versa? What game would I like to have seen converted? One of the games that I would like to have seen converted, and it has been, is Attic Attack, or Attic Attack, whatever you want to call it. It's one of my favourite Spectrum games. I just think it's a fantastic game, and that's been converted, and it's a cracking version. Night Lore was a game I used to get jealous of my Spectrum owning mate, thinking, this computer that he's got can do all this stuff, mine's can't. Well, as I've now proven, the C64 absolutely can do stuff like Night Lore, though it's not one of my favourite games, so it's nice to see that. I think Manic Miner is one of my favourite Spectrum games, and I would always pick the Spectrum one over any other version, though apparently is it the Auric Atmos is meant to be the best version. I can't remember who, somebody did tell me that. One game that I would love to see in the C64, in fact 2 games, would be Formula 1 by CRL, and which is it's basically Football Manager but with cars. Love to see that in the C64. Excuse me, I need to breathe properly because I tend to not breathe when I'm talking and then I get hiccups. Another game which I'd love to see, and again it's one of my favourite Spectrum games, is Zombie by Quicksilver, programmed by fellow Scotsman Sandy White. I'd like to see a version of that on the C64. I don't think there's really any other games. Is there any game that I would like to see in the Spectrum? Now here's the thing, a game that I like in the C64, like Rocket Ball, or what do you call it, Super Pipeline 2, whatever. My favourite C64 games, I don't think, some of them have been converted to the Spectrum, and I prefer the C64. So I'm not trying to say that the Spectrum version is going to be inferior, but where a game really uses the sort of the hardware of the C64 to a really good extent, I don't think seeing it on the Spectrum is going to make it. I think it's going to be a lesser version, if that makes any sense. I mean, Drop Zone I don't think was ever converted for the Spectrum, but I don't think Drop Zone in the Spectrum would be. I'm not saying it wouldn't be a good game. I don't think it would shine a candle to the C64 one. So no, I can't think of any game. I mean, for purely, curiosity, it would be nice to see what Spectrum Drop Zone would look like. I'll tell you what I would like to see actually on the C64. I would like to see a decent version of Jetpack. There was a version released, well, I don't think it was released. There was a version that came out, but I don't think it ever got an official release. I might be talking complete bollocks. But, talking about Drop Zone, I think they could make an excellent version of that. Jetpack is a game that should technically be better on a C64. The C64 was always better for arcade games, fast-paced, fast-scrolling arcade games. I know there was no scrolling in it, but I do think a C64 version would have been really, really nice to see. So anyway, listen, cracking question. Excuse me. Let's have a wee look what you're saying. With that, there you go. You just mentioned it. With Attic Attack just being converted along with a few other isometric ultimate games, it would be interesting to know a game you could see working today, seeing as coders now have so many more tricks up their sleeve to make them work. Thanks to you, Panther and Lucosa, for entertaining me with the video, and huge shout outs to all my friends in your channel. You're all the best. That's a lovely thing to say, Dale. I've got to say I can only echo what you've said there. I think I am lucky, and the guys that watch my channel, you're all absolutely top guys. Just before I forget, I'm going to be, I've got a meeting with the Salvation Army on Saturday. I'm going to be presenting them with their money. And on Sunday, I've got a meeting with the drop-in centre place. Then that just leaves Sundach, which is a little respite centre for terminally ill kids. I'm going to contact them probably over the weekend, and I'm going to make arrangements. So I hope to get some pictures. What I'll probably do is I'll probably post them on my Facebook page, but I will include them. I will include them in next week's Friday Waffle. So looking forward to doing that. Yep, this is the last. Have we got any more questions? There might be. Let's have a look. Milthy Swinbuckle, hello again, Main Meister. Question for the next waffle. Watching your video on Moose Life got me thinking, what other old school games could be reworked into VR to give off a new gaming experience and perhaps even add to the original game? I can't really see platform games, fighting games and too many old style games working very well, though Moose Life kind of shows stuff like these can be done with the right amount of imagination. Obviously, most simulations go without saying, and I believe a lot of first-person shooters have been made as well. My 3 examples of old games I think would work really well in VR would be Stunt Car Racer. You know what? I was just thinking about that one. That would be an awesome game, but it would be awesome for most people, but not for me, because I simply could not play it, because I cannot get on with games that move smoothly. I mean, what do you call it? Wipeout on the PlayStation 4. I've got that in VR, and it's a fantastic game. I mean, who doesn't like Wipeout? But in VR, it just makes my stomach absolutely turn. It really does, and I actually feel ill for quite a while after it. So Stunt Car Racer, whilst would be amazing, I could not play it. Can you imagine going down over some of these jumps in VR? Oh, dearie me. But that would be amazing. Forbidden Forest. Yeah. You know what? I would love to play Forbidden Forest with the same graphics, but you're in the game. Can you imagine turning around and there's this huge big pixelated spider coming towards you? Or seeing the skeleton chasing you? That would be... Yeah, Forbidden Forest would be an absolute cracking game. And Space Taxi, if anyone in the future invents a hover car, not bad. Any other 3D ones? Yeah, I'm not sure whether fighting ones would really work. I think, Zombie would be quite a good example. Being able to fly the helicopter and then you're actually, it would be like Minecraft kind of thing, because that's kind of what Zombie was like. You could build things using bricks, so imagine that in 3D with the zombies. That would be pretty cool. The other one I'm thinking that would be quite nice, it'd be interesting to see how it would work, would be a football game. Sensible. Can you imagine playing sensible soccer, but in VR, and your teammates are all these little pixels? There was a game that came into PlayStation, and it was like a first person football game. I can't remember what it was called. It came out by Namco. Can't remember what it was called, but it flopped. It flopped big style. It just never worked because you spent the whole time just running about trying to chase the ball. But one game I think would be interesting would be Rocket Ball. I think that would be pretty cool. Zooming around, punching people, picking up the ball in VR, that would be pretty good. Whether it would really work, I don't know. Would Super Pipeline 2 work in VR? I don't think so, because Super Pipeline 2, you need to be able to see the whole screen so you know where to go. So playing that from a first person perspective, I'm not sure would really work. There's not many games, old style games, that would work. I mean, there's a really interesting emulator that came out, and it's basically somebody has managed to turn. They've managed to turn NES games into sort of pseudo 3D isometric, and it doesn't change the way the game plays. It still plays the same, but it's got this pseudo 3D look to it. I don't know how that would be in VR. I think it would be one of these ones that would be kind of more gimmicky. I don't think it's really going to add anything to it. In fact, a lot of games, I think, stick to 2-dimensional. Listen, Milfy, great question, buddy. Yeah. And Colin Jones, let's have a wee look. Excuse me. Waffle question. Elite aside, what were your favourite, more involved games from the 8-bit or 16-bit eras? Any genre. 8-bit involved, I mean, to me, if it doesn't require pressing a fire button to fire a bullet, then it's quite an involved game. I loved Elite, obviously. That was one that I did play a lot. I think I got up to, was it Dangerous? I think that was about as far as I got. Anything else? There was a game that I used to enjoy playing. Star Trader by Quicksilver. It was kind of like a budget Elite, though without the spaceships. But you basically landed on planets, and you could go to a pub, you could eat food, you could buy stuff. And there was a kind of arcadey bit when you're in a spaceship. I'm sure, if I remember rightly, it came with the It came with the Soft Aid compilation that came out for the Spectrum, Amstrad, I think, and C64 and the Spectrum as well. And yeah, it was one of these games that came out. It was Quicksilver, called Star Trader. What other kind of semi-complicated games? Massive fan of Football Manager. I also enjoyed, what was it called? Well, Formula 1, which was basically Football Manager with cars. I also quite enjoyed Kevin Tom's sequel to Football Manager, and it was Software Manager. Basically, you're in charge of a software house, and you've got to write these games. When I say write, you basically pick the name of a game, you allocate budget, and you've got to try and promote the game and that kind of stuff. Very, very simplistic, but I really enjoyed that. So I like games that have got a bit of substance, but not too much. On the 16-bit, and even beyond that in the PC, I loved Dune 2 on the Amiga. I liked Populous 2. I loved, what do you call it? I loved Warcraft. I loved, not World of Warcraft, it was Warcraft and Warcraft 2. I loved, oh, blimey, what was it called? Command and Conquer. Then there was also, was it what was it called? Red something? Red Alert? Yeah, Red Alert. I loved all these games. You basically got to harvest food and build stuff, which kind of goes against the stuff I constantly say that I don't like games where you've got to build things, but for some reason I really enjoyed these. I've not played any game like that for quite a long time. I did try to get back into what do you call it, Warcraft on the PC, but the one I was playing was original and it just looks mega dated. But yeah, loved all these games to bits. So thanks very much for your question, Colin. I think that is all the questions. I think it is. Yeah, listen guys, that is quite enough anyway. I've not actually thought about, Christ, it's getting dark. You know what, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to go and open up the curtains now. I'll just open up the blinds. There we go, you can see me again. What was I going to say? Yeah, I will be along on back to the usual time, 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock on Sunday. I've not thought about what I'm going to talk about. I've not thought about what games it's going to be. I'll have a think, and what I'll do is I'll post it in Discord and also on Facebook. It just remains for me to say I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. As always guys, thank you very much for watching.